Hello students. In my previous video on cerebrum, I explained you in detail about the sulci and the gyri present on the superolateral surface of the cerebrum as well as on the medial surface of the cerebrum. Okay. In this video, I will proceed further. Okay. Now, as you all know, this is the inferior surface of the cerebrum and it contains two parts. It consists of two parts. The anterior part is the anterior surface is the orbital surface and the posterior surface is the tentorial surface. So we will see which are the sulci and the gyri which are present on the orbital surface of the inferior surface and on the tentorial surface of the inferior surface. Okay, so this is the inferior surface and there are sulci and gyri which are present on the inferior surface. Okay, now this is the view of the inferior surface. This is the frontal pole and this is the occipital pole. Okay, there are three poles: the frontal pole, the occipital pole and the temporal pole. So this is just one half of the inferior surface of the cerebrum. Okay, now we'll take the orbital part. This is the orbital part, which is the anterior surface of the inferior surface of the cerebrum. Okay, so this is the orbital part. So the first is the olfactory sulcus. So this you can see here, this is the olfactory sulcus. Now this is the olfactory sulcus. Okay, here would be the olfactory bulb, the olfactory tract. Okay, this I have mentioned in my previous video. So this is the olfactory sulcus. This is the olfactory sulcus. So the first sulci is olfactory sulcus. The next is the gyrus rectus. So just immediate next to the olfactory sulcus is the GR. This GR is rectus gyri. Okay, this is gyri rectus or the rectus gyri. This GR you can see. Okay, so first is the olfactory sulcus, this black one, and this is the gyri rectus. Okay, next is the orbital sulcus. Now this orbital sulcus, see, this is the orbital sulci. This you can see is in H shaped. Okay, this orbital sulci is present as H shaped or it is seen as H shaped. Okay, the alphabet H. Okay, so this is the orbital sulci. Now here you can see medial. This is the medial, anterior, posterior and lateral. Okay, so this is the anterior. So frontal pole is anterior, the occipital pole is posterior, this is the medial and this is the lateral. So this is the medial orbital gyri. This is the lateral orbital gyri. This is the anterior orbital gyri and this is the posterior orbital gyri surrounding the orbital sulci. Okay, so the inferior surface, the anterior surface is the orbital surface and the sulci and gyri are as follows. The first is the olfactory sulci, olfactory sulcus. Just immediate next to the olfactory sulcus is the gyrus rectus. Gyrus rectus, this GR is gyrus rectus. Then there is orbital sulci which is H shaped. This is the orbital sulci which is H shaped, and surrounding this orbital sulci there is presence of gyri. So which are the gyri? Medial orbital gyri M, lateral orbital gyri L, anterior orbital gyri A and posterior orbital gyri. So these are the sulci and gyri on the anterior surface or the orbital surface of the inferior surface. The next we'll see the tentorial part. Okay, so that is the posterior part of the inferior surface. First is the collateral sulcus. So you can see here, this is the collateral sulcus. So this is the posterior surface of the inferior surface of the cerebrum. So first is the collateral sulcus. So you can see here, this is the collateral sulcus. Most medially, okay, is the collateral sulcus. So this is the collateral sulcus which you can see. The next sulcus is the occipitotemporal sulcus, which is laterally. Okay, so next is the occipitotemporal sulcus. Okay, so you can see here, this is the occipitotemporal sulcus. So this is the occipitotemporal sulcus. This is the collateral sulcus. So occipitotemporal sulcus and the collateral sulcus. Okay. Medial occipitotemporal gyri and the lateral occipitotemporal gyri. Okay. So you can see here, this is the medial occipitotemporal gyri. So this medial occipitotemporal gyri will be present between the collateral sulcus and the occipitotemporal sulcus. Okay. And lateral occipitotemporal gyri which will be behind the occipitotemporal sulcus. So this is the occipitotemporal sulcus, and behind that would be the lateral occipitotemporal gyri. So this is the collateral sulcus. Okay, occipitotemporal sulcus. Between the collateral and the occipitotemporal sulcus is presence of medial occipitotemporal gyrus, and just behind the occipitotemporal sulcus is presence of lateral occipitotemporal gyrus. Okay. The next sulci is the rhinal sulcus. You can see here, this is the rhinal sulcus above. Okay. Next, this is the gyri which is known as uncus. Next is the parahippocampal gyri. So this is the rhinal sulcus, uncus, and the most medially. So parahippocampal gyri would be medial to the collateral sulcus, and lateral to the collateral sulcus would be the medial occipitotemporal gyrus. Okay. And the next gyri is the lingual gyrus. So this is the lingual gyrus. Okay. So these are the sulci and the gyri which are present on the tentorial part of the inferior surface. Okay. I'll repeat again. First is the collateral sulcus. This is the collateral sulcus. Yes. Okay. This is the collateral sulci. Okay. The next is the occipitotemporal sulcus. This is the occipitotemporal sulcus. Occipitotemporal sulcus. Okay. The next is the medial occipital temporal gyri which is present between the collateral sulcus and the occipitotemporal sulcus. Here medial occipitotemporal gyrus. Next is the lateral occipitotemporal gyrus which will be present just behind the occipitotemporal sulcus. Most medial is the rhinal sulcus. Then comes below rhinal sulcus is the uncus. This is the gyri. Parahippocampal gyrus. This is the parahippocampal gyrus which is present most medially to the collateral sulcus, and below is the lingual gyri. Okay. So lingual gyri will be present medial to the collateral sulcus in the posterior aspect. Okay. So these are the sulci and the gyri which are present on the inferior surface of the cerebrum. So with this we finishes all the sulci and the gyri which are present on the surfaces of the cerebrum. In this video I have only explained about the inferior surface, the sulci and the gyri. In my previous video you will find the sulci and the gyri of the superolateral surface and the medial surface. Okay. Now we'll proceed further with another topic of the cerebrum, that is the functional areas of the cerebrum. Okay. So we'll proceed to the functional areas of the cerebrum. Okay. Now which are the functional areas of the cerebrum? So I'll just read it, okay, and I'll show you certain pictures, okay, for better understanding. Okay. Now, which are the functional areas of the cerebrum? First is the association area, that is sensation, movement and learning. Just I am reading this, just try to remember. Then I'll explain in detail each and every functional area as it comes. Okay. So first is the association area. Okay. There are association areas which are present. Okay. And this association area is required for sensation, movements and learning. So if you see this diagram, okay, this is the association area. So where it is, which are the association area, I will explain later on. For just an introduction for the functional area of the cerebrum, just look at this diagram. So this is the central sulcus, this is the lateral sulcus and this is the parieto-occipital sulcus. This is the frontal lobe, the temporal lobe, the parietal lobe and the occipital lobe. So you can see the association area is present at the frontal area, frontal pole, the temporal pole and the occipital pole. Okay. So this is the association area 1. Then there is presence of premotor area which is involved in involuntary movements. Association area is required for knowing the sensation, movements and learning. Premotor area is the involuntary movements. Okay. So involuntary movements, that is which is not in our control, and that is the autonomic nervous system. Yes. So involuntary movements, there is motor area. You can see just ahead of the central. So this is precentral gyri, which I have already told about this. So this is the precentral motor area. So this is the premotor area which is involved in involuntary muscles. Then there is Broca's area. Okay, so this Broca's area is present here, which is the speech area. So the next is the Broca's area. Okay, this Broca's area is the speech area which is present. I'll just show you in the diagram. Okay, so there is presence of, this is the, you can see here, anterior speech area. So this is your Broca's area. Okay, these are the functional areas which I am showing you. This is the primary motor area which I have shown you right now. This is the Broca's area and many association area I have shown in the previous pic. Okay, then this is the Wernicke's area. Yes, posterior speech area. This is the Wernicke's area. Okay, now there is also presence of olfactory area. Okay, so there is presence of olfactory area which is for olfaction. Okay, so that is related to smell. That area is related to smell. So you can see here, this is the olfactory area near the temporal lobe. Okay, so this is the olfactory area. You can see association area. Motor speech area is the Broca's area. Okay, so this is motor speech area for speaking, and sensory speech area, this is the Wernicke's area for understanding. Okay, so right now I told you Broca's area which is the motor speech area and Wernicke's area. You can see this is the Wernicke's area which is understanding speech. So this is for understanding speech. Then there is olfactory area for smell. Okay, then there is auditory area here. This is all in temporal lobe. So this auditory area is for hearing. Yes. So which area we saw? This is the association areas which are present. Okay, association area. Then the premotor area for involuntary movements. Association area is for sensation, movements, learning. Broca's area is for speech. This is motor, so that should be movement, that is for speech. And sensory speech area, that is the Wernicke's area, that is for understanding the speech. This is the olfactory area for sense of smell. This is the auditory area here. This is for hearing. So this is under the temporal lobe. Okay. Now, so in the diagram, okay, there are 4 lobes which you all know. Okay, there are 4 lobes which are present in the brain. You know all this lobe. Frontal lobe, this is the parietal lobe, this is the occipital lobe and the temporal lobe. So this you all know. And there are 3 main fissures which are present. Okay, very important 3 main fissures which are present. Okay, so or the sulci. So this is the central sulcus, as you all know. This is the parieto-occipital sulcus or the fissure, and the lateral fissure or the sulci. So in cerebral hemisphere there are so many control areas: sensory, motor and analytical area. Now in frontal lobe, if you see, right now I have shown you the frontal lobe. In frontal lobe there is presence of association area. Okay, in frontal lobe there is presence of association area, which I have shown you. Okay, and what does that association area does? Okay, so this is the frontal lobe. Yes, this is the association area. It helps in association and coordinate our body in various condition. Okay, so the frontal lobe association area, it helps in association and coordinate our body in various conditions. So it is for coordinating movements. After receiving any kind of sensation or after movement and even in learning, how our body works and functions. Okay, so this is the association area. So this is for, it receives the sensation. Okay, and it receives the movement, and after movement and even in learning, how our body functions after doing movement, after learning something, how our body functions, that is held by this area. Okay, so it helps in association and coordinate our body in various condition after receiving any kind of sensation or after movement or even after learning, how our body works and functions, that is related to association area. This is the premotor area. Okay, this is the central sulcus, this is the premotor area. Okay, this is present in the precentral gyri. It is responsible for controlling involuntary muscles and the autonomic nervous system. Okay, involuntary muscles means which we are not in our control. So this is the premotor area. Okay, or the this is the motor area, this is the premotor area. I am so sorry. This is the premotor area. Okay, and this premotor area is required for controlling involuntary muscles and autonomic nervous system. So this is the premotor area. Okay, now this is the motor area which is for controlling the voluntary muscles. So premotor area is required for involuntary control, involuntary muscles. Okay, it is responsible for controlling involuntary muscles and the autonomic nervous system. Okay, this is all I am talking about the frontal lobe. And this is the primary motor area. This primary motor area is required for controlling voluntary muscles, okay, which are in our control, and premotor area is involuntary muscles which is not in our control. Okay, so this is the premotor area. Clear? Next is the sensory area, that is the Broca's area. This is the motor speech area. Okay, not the sensory area, this is the motor speech area. This is associated with our speech, how clear the speech is, how your speech is clear, how much your speech is clear. Okay, this is related to this area. Okay, so sensory area responsible for senses of touch and pressure. So there is one sensory area also present here in the frontal lobe, which is responsible for senses of touch and pressure. Okay, so these are the areas which are present on the frontal lobe. Association area helps in association and coordination of our body in various condition. Okay, after receiving, okay, any kind of sensation or after movement and even in learning, how our body works and functions. So that is in frontal lobe. Okay, next is the premotor area. Okay, so this is the primary motor area and here is the premotor area. Okay, so this premotor area is required for involuntary muscles. So this is the premotor area which is required for involuntary muscles. Yes, premotor area. Then there is the primary motor area which is for controlling voluntary muscles. Broca's area or motor speech area for understanding for our speech, how clear the speech is, what we speak. Okay, and there is also one sensory area which is responsible for senses of touch and pressure. Okay, now we'll go to the parietal lobe. Parietal lobe is body awareness center, how our body is moving, which part of the body is where. So it is awareness center, how our body is moving and which part of the body is where. So that is the parietal lobe. So language, reading, how we read, how much we are able to comprehend, taste is also controlled. Okay, so this is the parietal lobe. Okay, in parietal lobe, now you can see this is the parietal lobe. So this is all, post central sensory area. This is the sensory speech area. So this is body awareness center, how our body is moving, which part of the body is where. So this is the parietal lobe. Okay, language, reading, how we read, how much we are able to understand or comprehend. So that is related to, that is controlled by the areas which are present in the parietal lobe. Occipital lobe, the main area is the visual area, that is for vision. And the temporal lobe, this is the temporal lobe. Okay, there is vernix area in the temporal lobe. Okay, just behind it there is vernix area which is one of the sensory speech area. It is for understanding the speech. Motor speech area is for speaking, it is Broca's. And vernix speech area is for understanding what others speak. Okay, auditory area, as you all know, it is for hearing in the temporal lobe. Okay, also there is presence of olfactory area in the temporal lobe. Olfactory tract of the olfactory lobe attaches to the temporal lobe. So there is one tract which is present, olfactory tract. Okay, and the olfactory tract of the olfactory lobe. So there is presence of olfactory lobes. I have shown you when I did the inferior surface, when I explained the inferior surface. So the inferior surface, there is, you can see here, there is the, on the inferior surface there is olfactory bulb. Okay, and also there is olfactory tract. Okay, now this olfactory bulb and the olfactory tract, okay, it attaches to the temporal lobe. Yes, this is getting attached to the temporal lobe. Okay, so olfactory area which is, or olfactory tract of the olfactory lobe, it attaches to the temporal lobe. Now what is the olfactory lobe? It is responsible for sense of smell. So that is responsible for sense of smell. So this is your olfactory area, and the olfactory bulb, the olfactory tract is related to the temporal lobe, this area. And this olfactory lobe, olfactory tract is present on the inferior surface of the cerebrum. Okay, so cerebrum is responsible for sensory function, motor function, various types of awareness, learning, reading skills, speech area, etc. It is also considered for analytical part of our brain. Things we understand, analyze, interpret is done by cerebrum. It's a very, very important part of the brain. Information what we get is stored in the memory part of the cerebrum. So this in gist, these are the functions of the cerebrum. Very, very important part of the brain. Sensory function, motor function, awareness, what is happening in the surrounding, learning, reading skills, speech. It is also considered for analyzing, understanding, comprehending, interpretation. We come to conclusions. So thinking, for memory. So this is an important part of the brain, the cerebrum. Okay. In the next video, I will talk in detail about the functional areas of the brain. Thank you, students.